We're going to make fun of Joe Biden because we have this story from the New York Post. It's big news, breaking news from 11:57 a.m. Biden stumbles up Air Force One stairs again, leaving Poland. You know, that's karma. That's someone, I think Carpe Donktum made a meme where Trump throws his hat in East Palestine and then it boomerangs around and hits Biden. He falls up the stairs. This is what we get, ladies and gentlemen. Your president not only abandoning the American people, visiting foreign countries, and then falling up the stairs. That's your president.
To be fair, that's a lot of stairs for a dude that's almost 80.
Yeah, when are they going to build an escalator?
Escalator?
What I want to know is, where is SNL on this? I mean, when Gerald Ford fell down the stairs in the 70s when he was president, that's what made Chevy Chase famous, was making fun of Gerald Ford when he fell down the stairs. And it's like, this has happened twice now, and you see nothing from places like SNL or any of the comedians making fun of it.
It's a cult.
It doesn't make any sense to me.
You can't make fun of it.
You got Babylon Bee. The Babylon Bee's tearing it up. They have one of their new articles. Biden promises to get rid of these resort fees. Wait, I'm sorry. Biden promises to get rid of those resort fees by the time World War III starts. Have you seen him tweeting about getting rid of resort fees over the last 3 weeks? Like, these $90 secret fees are ruining America. Under my watch, we'll make sure. And it's like, are these really your priorities, dude? He's tweeted about it like 3 times in the last 2 weeks. It's really
he has mentioned a couple of things that are very silly, like very frivolous.
Hey, and this isn't comedy. This is true.
Yeah. Resort fees suck. I get it. But juxtaposed with the Ukrainian stuff in East Palestine, it's like, what is he?
The Babylon Bee wrote this headline: Biden promises to get rid of those resort fees by the time World War III starts. But that's literally what he's saying. It's like he didn't literally say, I will get rid of these fees before the start of World War III. But World War III we're on the cusp of a major conflict. He's like, don't worry, we're going to get those resort fees down. It's like, what?
Completely tone deaf.
People's whole city is blanketed in this chemical that killed their livestock and is like floating in their water. And then you're like, Mr. President, will you help the poor people of East Palestine? I will, by cutting those resort fees. So when they're evacuating their hometown, it'll be a little cheaper out of their pocket.
Maybe they're not making fun of him falling up the steps because he's old and it's like elder abuse. Whereas, whereas like Gerald Ford was still, how old was Ford? Was he like in his early 60s or something?
No, he was I think he was in his 50s or something.
So he was younger and he was more of just a guy falling down.
Right.
Which is a little bit funny.
But again, it is, I guess, a little funny. But when you do it twice, man, I mean, when you do the same thing twice, SNL should be all over that. And I think Tim is right. You know, it is a cult, and it just says we cannot make fun of the Holy One. We cannot make fun of the person that's carrying our water for us. And it's really sad. It's really sad.
This is what the president is tweeting about right now. Hidden junk fees are taking money out of the pockets of average Americans. Thanks to our efforts, most of the country's largest banks are getting rid of fees for bounced checks. We're going to lower overdraft fees next. Well, that's really great. I mean, cool. Do you have anything to add about the people whose entire city is blanketed in toxic chemicals and whose livestock are dying? I would be interested to hear what you had to say about that one.
I'm curious.
Oh, I'm sorry. Before that, he says, our support for Ukraine will not waver. NATO will not be divided. We will not tire. Oh, NATO. Yeah, he's not talking about us. He's in, Bucharest? Bucharest 9 leaders have provided critical security assistance. Did he say anything? NATO. Earlier, I was briefed on a winter storm. Okay. Is he just not saying anything? Ukrainian refugees, democracies around the world. Christians in Ash Wednesday. Okay. Well, that one's okay. You know, all right. I can respect that one. He's talking about Americans at least. It's like, to him, none of this even happened.
Did he even mention it once?
Maybe.
He has to have mentioned it.
I thought he tweeted about it once, but while he was on his way to Ukraine, right?
Wow.
I mean, that's a slap in the face.
You know, you got a toxic chemical spill. It's a problem. Well, I'll be over in Ukraine giving $500 million from your taxes to a country you can't point to on a map.
I think it was Ana de Armas. There was an actor saying that the age of social media has basically killed the movie star. It's basically, there are no more movie stars now. It's a lot less about the art that you make and more about who you are as a person, because it's a lot more prevalent and obvious now. And it's the same thing with the president. They don't hide behind this visage of like the title. Now you get to see this guy in his daily behavior, and it's insane.
Look. Sorry, man. Just look at this picture. This is worse.
This is like 1970s crap.
This tweet from Joe Biden is worse than nothing. He said, after my speech today, I spoke with EPA Michael Reagan, Sherrod Brown, Bill Johnson, Shapiro, DeWine about our ongoing efforts in East Palestine, Ohio. I reaffirmed my commitment to making sure they have everything they need. Let me give you the latest. And there is a picture of him sitting on the phone in, I don't know where he is, but it's just like, bro, just do nothing and say nothing, because at the very least, then we can try to imagine what might you have been doing. But to be like, I got on the phone with some guys, told them, just let me know what you need, then got on a plane and flew to Ukraine.
This is worse than a mean tweet.
What is
you know
it
what I mean? This is a tweet of like, I'm just going to placate you. I'm going to say something so I can say I said something, and that's it. You know, I'd rather have an outwardly mean tweet than just something that placates people who are really going through a hard time.
Let's be real. Biden talked to nobody. He probably did nothing. It's a stock photo they probably took of him weeks ago. They probably have a whole library of photos of him doing other things. You've got, remember that picture of him? And it was supposed to be at Camp David, but then people noticed the clock was not daylight savings time. And they're like, hey, wait a minute. This had to have been taken before March or like before November or whatever, proving that either, well, maybe they don't update their clocks, or it was a stock photo of the president. This is probably a stock photo. They bring him in a room and they say, we're going to get a bunch of different photos of you doing different things to use in different moments. I bet the dude has no idea what's going on in Ohio. I bet he's just like, I don't know. They told him to get on a plane and fly to Ukraine.
He tweeted about it yesterday. Rail companies have spent millions of dollars to oppose common sense safety regulations, and it's worked. More than a train derailment, more than a toxic waste spill. It's years of opposition to safety measures coming home to roost. Doesn't mention Ohio, doesn't mention
so
East Palestine.
that's the same talking point as Politico just put out, right? I mean, it's all Trump's fault, basically. Right, because of the regulations, and that seems to Obama did the same thing with Bush, and I'm no fan of Bush, but it was 7 years into his presidency, and he was like, oh well, Bush, right? If something went wrong, it was Bush's fault, and that seems to be what Biden is doing. Anytime he can just say, oh, if it's wrong, it's Trump's fault. It has nothing to do with what I've done. You just go back and look at the previous administration.
Yeah, I expect that out of an administration if they're going to actually do that in conjunction with taking action to help relieve the situation on the ground. If there's going to be I'm not a fan of government anyways, but if there's going to be a government that's if there's going to be an EPA, if there's going to be a FEMA and stuff, why aren't they helping in the places that in the U.S. that need their help?
Well, and the rail system is the federal government's responsibility. And when you're talking about the chemicals and stuff, this is the EPA. This is what they do.
Yeah,
I was
told. Go ahead.
I was told that Biden's been offering federal help to the governors, but they haven't been requesting it. He actually says in his tweet, as I said to your governors, they'll have every resource that they need, indicating that they're available for you governors if you need it. But what is it? Is it that the federal government gives a state some sort of FEMA relief, then the state owes the federal government something? Is it like a tit for tat? So the governor's like, I don't want to get involved with federal money. I don't want you breathing down my neck about that thing in the future as a result.
I mean, to some degree, but also we pay taxes, and that's the point of them, so that federal emergency management can come and assist us when things like this happen.
But I would think it would happen with no expectation of something in return.
Well, I think the governor has to declare some kind of state of emergency at some point. But other than that, if he requested the aid, it should be offered. But I don't know. It seems all very, very strange that the federal government didn't jump in at the beginning. It didn't highlight the issue at the beginning. I mean, it seemed like when I first tweeted about it, which was early, right? I was getting, bot replies in my feed saying, "Oh, you need to check your sources on what actually is happening there," and this kind of false narrative of everything is fine. The people of East Palestine are just making a mountain out of a molehill. Everything's okay. And then it turns out absolutely that's not the case. It took J.D. Vance going over there to do it, to show people. But again, we were fed a narrative, or when we were fed a narrative, it turned out to be completely false.
I retweeted the early image of the river, the Ohio River, and then all the potentially affected states through the water table. And I just tweeted the image. I said, I don't know. There's nothing verifying if this is real or not. Get water filters, get air filters. Don't wait for official confirmation to take care of your house stuff. And I got a Twitter the next day, a warning said, this is unverified. And someone was like, Ian, you got a warning. I was like, I'm fine with it. I know I didn't verify this. It's just take care of yourself. But then the next day they removed the warning. So I don't know.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, it was really
it was a big thing where the New York Times claimed the far-right conspiracy theorists were saying the water table was being threatened. And I'm like, the governor of Ohio said that. He said a chemical plume is flowing downriver towards West Virginia. Are we supposed to assume that you can drink those chemicals? Is that why it's safe? No, the New York Times.
It's all about the power of the first impression, right? It's they put out these narratives hoping that, okay, the people that read the New York Times or the people that read the Washington Post, they see that at the beginning and they never look at it again. And anytime they see a story about it after that, they go, oh, that's just crazy right-wing conspiracy theorists. Yep. And so it's the power of that first impression that they're trying to marshal there. It's really criminal.
I've got the notice back on. I think the notice is on the thing I retweeted. It's not on my tweet. So it says the map is a high river basin, does not accurately represent areas of potentially contaminated drinking water. Multiple agencies and locales are actively testing groundwater and river-based drinking water and have found no contamination. Yet we've seen J.D. Vance's video of contamination.
And a grocery store is pulling water bottles off the shelves. Gee, I wonder why.
I think this notice can come down Twitter.
Thanks for watching this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. Hang out with us live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. and become a member over at timcast.com for uncensored, members-only shows exclusive. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.